Hey, everybody. I think we're live.
I think so too. I was going to ask you, but
Yeah.
okay.
Well, everyone, thank you for joining us while we continue to experiment with different setups and audio settings and locations. Okay, today is story time. I don't remember why we were talking about this the other day, but I remember thinking, how come we haven't spoken about this on a video? And your book has an awful lot of information about your life in Scientology's cadet org, specifically at the Ant Ranch. And one of the parts of your stories is when the kids were brought to Golden Era Productions to build the E-meters.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And, these E-meters are tools. I'm trying to back up a little bit. Oh, here, you know what? Sorry, guys, we're going to finagle this a little bit here. Let's do that. I want to be a little more centered. So these e-meters are tools that Scientologists use in auditing. And these meters are like $5,000 a piece. And I think the research has been done, and the materials to put these meters together cost about $200. But they are sold for $5,000. And when you first mentioned that you guys were on the e-meter assembly line, I think one of the reasons, I don't know, it didn't occur to me that that was kind of as big of a deal as it was, is because I figured you guys were just like maybe snapping them together.
Oh no.
Maybe you guys were just, I don't know, pushing in the little sensitivity knob or something. And you're like, no, we were soldering circuit boards.
Yeah. It's true.
And I was like, wait a second, hold on a second. We have to talk more about this. So, okay, how did this come to be that they take the kids and they're like, I know what we'll do with the kids. We'll have them put these machines together that we sell for $5,000 a pop.
Well, they're already essentially thinking of us as a workforce. So the golden age of tech was about to happen in June 1996, and there was a new e-meter that was coming out with it, and so they needed a whole bunch of people to work on it, and they had this whole force sitting there at the ranch, like 20 minutes away. And so I don't remember being told that that's what we were going to do or why, but I do remember going. We actually would ride a school bus. We had a school bus to the base.
You're like, the kids are all singing, wheels on the bus go round and
Oh
round.
no, I specifically remember Laura's sister Colleen. She taught me all of the words to the Pocahontas song on the way there to work on the e-meters. She taught me all of the words. So yeah, so then we would go on the bus and then get to the gold base, and we always like we would sometimes work at the gold base in the galley where they would make all the food and other places, and we always loved it because it was always like inside with air conditioning, and like I guess that was the main thing, that it wasn't like working outside like digging trenches. It was like something easier where you could like sit down and actually kind of use your, I guess in the case of the e-meters, you're using your brain instead of your brawn, which I guess suited me better when I was 12 years old. So yeah, we were brought into the building where we were supposed to do it, and then there's like an assembly line. So it starts out with like putting the circuit boards together. So we would like solder these black boxes onto the circuit
Like
board.
the little black boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we weren't allowed to
I
touch.
think those are the microchips, but
Yeah, yeah. And we weren't allowed to, like, we would have to wear these bracelets that were like anti-static or something, and all of the circuit boards would go into these like static protecting bags or whatever, and the whole e-meter would be passed around. And it actually had like a checklist that would be stuffed inside the bag. So first we would make the circuit boards. That was the first place that I was assigned to. We would solder the microchips onto the circuit boards, and then we would also make like the wire things that would plug in here. We would clamp the wires into the plug thing that would go from one circuit board to another.
People joke about companies like Apple using like, child labor, sweatshops. And it's like, no, that's literally what Scientology was doing to make these e-meters. Bring the kids in. We'll give them the electric. We'll give them the soldering equipment,
Yeah,
put those circuit boards together.
for sure. But honestly, like all I was thinking at the time was that it was better than digging ditches outside in the hot, hot sun. Anyways, so then after we would make the circuit boards, it would go to assembly where you would take the shell of the e-meter and you would put all the circuit boards in and then put all the knobs in and all the jacks where things would be plugged into, and we would plug everything in. There was like a whole checklist that we would do, and there's all these L. Ron Hubbard policies that he wrote on how to do everything. And I worked in assembly for a while too. And then the next department was calibrations, where they would essentially like just test things to make sure it was outputting the right amount of electricity and see if certain things worked. I actually only worked in calibrations briefly, but they would just do all these tests on it. And then it would go to the sealing department where they would like seal it up. They would put all the knobs on and they would clean it, and then from there it would go to the QC department. Oh, I worked in sealing for a little bit too. And then it would go to the quality control department. And so not only were the kids working on this, but there was a lot of members of the Gold Base, the SEERG members were also working there. There was like an all hands to meet this quota to get all of these e-meters done in time. And so I worked in quality control where it was just me and one other guy. And we would like do all of these tests on the e-meter once it was sealed up. And then when it was finished, we would just put it outside the door on a cart and we would like ring a bell and the number would be changed. And so it was like one step, and everyone would cheer. And then it was like one step closer to meeting the quota.
That's amazing. The chat is saying my microphone is too loud, even though our mics have the exact same settings. So I'm just going to hold it farther away from my mouth.
Oh, okay. You're probably reaching my microphone.
I tend to yell, and you tend to talk like
Yeah,
this.
I
You tend
refuse to
talk
try to yell.
really quietly. Okay, so was the needle assembly? I remember the needle is in like its own self-contained housing. Like you guys literally putting in the needle assemblies.
No, it's like a movement, and it comes like I think
Right,
they got
right.
them from Japan, and we would literally just take the whole thing and put it in. So we didn't assemble the needle. Wow. Those were pre-made.
So like on the assembly line it's literally just. I think I had asked you previously, like, were you guys even taking like the little plastic beads and molding them into the meter case shape? And you said no. The halves of the meter case, those came already pressed.
Right, yeah, that's right. But then I briefly worked in plastics too, where they would hot stamp the markings on the front of the e-meter. And then also we would like glue together it was the Mark Super 7 Quantum. So we would put the gold backing and put the thing on top and then glue that onto the e-meter.
So you guys are using adhesives.
Yeah, adhesives, and the hot stamp was like a press type thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and then actually once it was through the quality control at the end, that we also like packaged everything. So we would put the e-meter in the little briefcase that it comes in, and we would match it with the cans, and we would and make sure it had all the cords in there, and then we would put it in a box and tape it up and send it out.
Wow. When you were working on that line, was it all kids, or were the kids there to help adults that were at least also working on the line?
So it was not all kids. We were shown what to do by the base staff members who regularly worked there. So I remember when I first, like after we were done with the circuit boards, because at first that's what we were all doing. Then we went into assembly, and I just remember the girl there, her name was Trinity, because of the Matrix, because that's all that I thought about as a 12-year-old kid. So yeah, they were adults.
Her name was Trinity?
Yeah.
So she was a gold staff member named Trinity?
Yeah.
If anyone knows who Trinity is, let us know in the comments section.
Yeah. And then that guy from he was in the gold office at Flag, Eric something. He was in sealing. That's where I first met him. And then in QC, there was a dude named JP Besnard. He was a French dude. And he showed me how to do all of the...
Was JP short for Jean-Pierre?
Probably.
Oh. Okay, so how many kids were working on the assembly line?
I mean, I want to say that there was like at least like 15. There was another group of kids that were working in the film lab as well. So I don't really know what they were doing.
Is that like for tech films or for photograph films?
I just think all of the above.
Like motion films? Everything?
Yeah, they did stuff with projectors and they did splicing. I remember them saying that a lot.
Wow.
And yeah.
You had some story about when you were working in quality control, your job was to reject the E-meters that got through the whole line and something was wrong with. How did they test them? Do you remember?
Well, there was like a whole series of tests that we were supposed to do. Like if you plugged this in and you put this much resistance on the machine, the E-meter was supposed to behave this way.
Oh, I bet you were calibrating it to 2,000 ohms at 2.0 and like 3,500 ohms at 3.0.
Right, but it was a lot more than that.
Oh.
Like, wasn't there a thing with the quantum that the needle becomes more sensitive the higher the TA tone arm gets? Because that previously
The variable
wasn't the
sensitivity.
case. Yeah, so we were testing that in some way.
Oh, wow. Really?
There was a lot of tests. Like, it wasn't like, it was like a 20-minute thing on each E-meter.
It was a 20-minute thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It took 20 minutes. Like, we weren't just doing that thing that you do at the beginning of the session. It was advanced. I'm smart.
Okay, so you told this hilarious story where you were rejecting the ones that failed the test according to the instructions,
Yeah.
and somebody was getting in trouble for the fact that the E-meter completion rate wasn't high enough, and they tried to blame you for falsely rejecting E-meters.
Yeah. You're telling the whole story.
Okay, tell the story.
Okay, so because it was really important to meet the E-meter target in time for the golden age of tech, so they could make all their money off of these E-meters, there was like executives it was called Hubbard E-meter Manufacturing, so there were executives inspecting there all the time. And then one day, we were kind of falling behind quota, and I guess like they were looking into the reason why, and someone saw that I had rejected a bunch of E-meters on the quality control, and they were like, oh, well, we're gonna have this smart dude, his name is Bruce Plotz. He was like a nerd. He was really smart, and he was actually really nice. But then
Shots fired, Bruce.
yeah, he rechecked all of these E-meters, and he said that basically I was incorrectly rejecting them, and that was like the big why. And then JP was like, well, let's retest them. And so I had to retest them in front of like a group of executives, and I won. I was right. They were all an over product. And Bruce had to eat crow.
Eat dick, Bruce.
I didn't say eat dick. That was you.
Eat the crow's dick. That is incredible. Now, there's a whole bunch of different versions of the E-meter. I mean, like there's the metal versions, there's the planetary descent versions.
Right,
Those might have been one and the same. And the metal meters are sold for like $25,000
Yes.
because they're more just like, it's more like they're trying to get you to make a $25,000 donation and they're just going to give you a beautiful E-meter in exchange. Did you guys have anything to do with those metal meters?
Yeah, we did, but they had to be in their own bag and be handled with gloves. So they're like iridescent colors, and if you touch them, it's like there's fingerprints all over them. I don't even know how anybody could use those. It just looks like a mess as soon as you touch it. But yeah, we definitely dealt with those as well.
Wow. I guess it's the exact same process, but a different shell. There's nothing different about them at all.
Exactly, yeah. I'm trying to remember what they were called.
Well, they were called the planetary descent meters, right?
I don't know. I mean, maybe that was one version of them, but...
But they even had gold plated. They had like the teal metal.
Yeah.
I just remember being like as a good little Scientologist, I was like, oh my God, I want one of those.
Yeah, same. I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
And I think I remember in L. Ron Hubbard's office at some of the orgs, they would put those super expensive meters on display. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. And everyone, you have to have a backup meter in session as an auditor. So you basically can't just have one e-meter.
Oh, no, you have
Scientologists
to have
would have
two.
to have two.
Yeah. Not all Scientologists actually buy two, though. You can usually finagle a spare meter from somewhere.
Borrow one.
So how long did you guys work on the assembly line or any of the lines associated with the meter?
So it was a few months, like probably like, I don't know, like 6 months or something like that. So we would just go in. So actually, we wouldn't do our schooling during that time. We would come back in the evening, and sometimes we would do our Scientology studies, but we didn't go to school because that was usually in the afternoon. So we would all drive into the base in the morning, and then we would work and then eat lunch there, and then we would go back to work, and then we would go back to the ranch and have dinner there, and then just do our Scientology studies. So yeah, we actually didn't do any schooling at all during that time. And yeah, I remember when we met the quota, everyone was like really happy. And then at the Sea Org Day, which is just a celebration, it's like one day a year when you celebrate being in the Sea Org, we got like that's where you can get promoted like to a higher rank, or you can earn certain, like, you know, the campaign bars that military people wear. Well, they wear fake versions of those in the Sea Org, and the cadets all got a special one for working on the e-meter.
Wow. Yeah, when if anyone sees those Navy style Sea Org uniforms and they have those campaign bars, sometimes they call them campaign ribbons. They have actual meanings in Scientology.
Yeah.
And a lot of these special evolutions that David Miscavige does, like the first Golden Age attack, the second Golden Age attack, the Golden Age of knowledge, now the Golden Age of admin. Yeah, all the Sea Org members associated with that get those special bars. It's Sea Org clout, y'all. Did you ever get any campaign bars when you were in the SL?
Well, you get one for finishing like some courses, so I got those. But I mean, I had
Those are the only ones I ever got.
Yeah.
I was always in trouble every year Sea Org Day came around. I never got. Like you get an automatic promotion for finishing your product one courses.
Yeah.
But
right.
you can get that without even being Sea Org Day. You just ask for it.
Yeah. Totally.
That's the only promotion
So
I ever got.
did you ever got Oh.
I never got promoted even once in the Sea Org. Did you?
Only once.
You
though.
did?
I was like chief petty officer.
That's promoted 4 times.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
promoted 3 times. You were chief petty officer?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was just petty officer 3rd class. I was like one step up from a piece of shit.
That's just another reason why Aaron would have to call me sir in the Sea Org. Not only was I in a higher organization, but I outranked him apparently.
That's right. One more promotion, you would have been an officer.
Yeah, but I think that we also, as part of the CMO EPF, which is just like initiation that you have to do for being in this higher level organization that I was in, you had to finish another thing that you got automatically promoted for.
Oh. Okay, so you got promoted. Okay, so you still got promoted twice then, though.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I was in the Sea Org for a long time.
I
Except
know.
from when I was 12 till I was 21 or 22. And you were
Yeah.
only for,
4 years.
yeah, that's 10 years versus 4 years.
You're right. Your track record is much worse than mine then.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
You got not promoted many more times than I did.
Exactly.
And okay, so was this experience putting together the e-meters like one of the things where did it make you go, oh, because you're still a cadet at that time, right?
Right.
Were you like, oh, real Sea Org members get to work inside in the air conditioning. I want to be a real Sea Org member.
Oh, totally. That's what I thought every time we went to the base. Every single time. Even when I went to Flag, I was like, we get to be inside and we don't have to like do all the, it was much easier anywhere else that I went than at the ranch. Like we just didn't have to do heavy labor. So at the base, yeah.
That is what is so incredible to me. That the adults in the Sea Org, who, anyone out there in the real world who's paid attention to Scientology stuff, know how horribly abusive being an adult in the Sea Org can be. And yet, as a cadet, you were like, oh, their lives are so much better than ours. I hope I can be one of them one day. Like, that's like mind blowing.
That's totally what I thought all the time. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to finish all my courses so I can get to the base and work there. And also our parents were there. So we could occasionally see them at lunchtime or something. And I think that was a lot of like everyone's favorite part about it, was that you could actually, even just in passing, see your parent. Yeah. And I remember right around that time, because it was the golden age of tech, they made this rule that was like, we all had to be grad 5 auditors before we graduated from the ranch. And I was like, no!
Stop. You can't be serious.
No, seriously. And so after, that was one of the reasons why I went to Flag right after that. Wow. So, yeah, so that was the rule. And it was like, no, that's another 1,000,000 years that we're going to be here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was Laura working on the E-meter line with you?
No, because she was too little.
Oh, she was too little.
Yeah, well, she's like a year or 2 younger.
I figured those smaller hands might be able to fit into some nooks and crannies.
Probably. Yeah, and they would like listen to music. I guess we would sometimes listen to music at the ranch, but it was like, I don't know, it felt like cool hanging out with all of these adults.
Was Mike's son Ben on the E-meter line with you?
Yeah, he was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who are some other people that the viewers might... Mike Brown's he's older than you, right?
Yeah, he's older than me. He might have been working at the film lab, though, because...
Would Sterling have been there with you?
Sterling he was already graduated. Yeah, so he would have been at the base, but he wasn't. But Justin was working in the film lab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But he might have actually been posted there at that time, so he worked with some of the kids. But, I mean, probably Alden was either at the film lab or in him. I mean, I can remember other people, but not people that are out.
I'd love to hear what they were doing at the film lab.
Yeah, I don't actually know. They would just be like, splicing this, that. And I was like, blah, blah. Who cares? Because I was only 12. I didn't care.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that was story time, y'all. How the kids were put to work soldering the microprocessors and what did you guys, the circuit boards.
Circuit boards.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, guys, the way we're doing this, we can't really see the comments. I mean, we can see them scrolling by, but there's no way to actually go. I mean, it's...
One's in German.
Oh! Deutsch.
What were
Sprechen
your
Sie
guys'
Deutsch?
rank in the Sea Org?
Yeah, no, we answered that. Yeah. All right, guys. This has been fun. Thank you for helping us with our continued experimentation. And I guess that's it. Ooh, here we go.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hold on.